Hello, boys and girls. We are live from the Vegas Strip getting ready for the NCAA tournament. I have got a gambling preview coming for you. Live from my hotel room, we have VIP guests who are members of the Outkick VIP sitting around. We have Kelly in Vegas. We have Teddy Covers. And we're going to hopefully make you some money. So I'm going to join the couch here inside our hotel room. Or my hotel room in the Palazzo in Vegas. This is brought to you, as always, by sportsbookreview.com. I encourage you guys. We have an awesome contest going on right now. You can win $5,000. You roll out right now. Go to the link where I put up all my gambling picks for Thursday at Outkick.com. You can click right through. It's free. You can win up to $5,000. We're here to give you a gambling preview because, what is it, like 12 hours-ish until a little bit less until the games officially tip off, and hopefully we're going to make you guys some money. So if you don't know Kelly Stewart at Kelly in Vegas, you can follow her on Twitter. Her link is in the Periscope bio there. Teddy Covers is at Teddy_Covers. And Kelly, you and I met like 4 years ago, I think it was, when FS1 still had money, and they came out here and they did a live show from inside the Westgate.
Yeah.
And I found out then you're a huge Kansas State fan. So a lot of people, I think, have this tough decision to make. How do you reconcile the fact that you want Kansas State to win so bad, right? And that your passion is so involved in what the outcome of that game is going to be with how you also bet on your favorite team? Because some people say, like, I won't touch my favorite team, or even I'll emotionally hedge with my favorite team and bet against them so I feel a little bit better no matter what. How have you found it, especially NCAA tournament-wise, to be with Kansas State?
So I'm a terrible Kansas State basketball fan. I got my heart broken after Frank Martin left. So
he's done a great job at South Carolina, by the way.
I am not Bruce Weber's biggest fan. As most of you that follow me on Twitter know that that line that came out against Creighton, I immediately bet Creighton. And all of my brackets except for one, I bet Creighton. On my Superbook ticket, I bet Creighton. So it's not really the same for me as football. And football, I will take K-State as a dog, usually, especially at home.
Like, you came into Nashville to watch them play against Vanderbilt.
Yes,
and that was the weekend that I had said I love boobs in the First Amendment. And I was supposed to come out and hang out, and it was like such a zoo that I was like, I never even left the house.
I won money because I had Vanderbilt, but I was so pissed off at the outcome of that game.
Yes,
and
that was an ugly, ugly game.
It was just an ugly game all the way around. So I was actually happy that you didn't. I kind of gave you a little bit of hell about it, but more importantly, I was like, no, Clay's got bigger fish to fry. He's fighting with people on CNN, which is like my favorite thing to do.
Yes. No, you were happy about that. And you didn't even know. Because I was like, I told you that I was going to come out and get a drink, and I was like, have you checked Twitter? And you're like, no, what's going on? I was like, just check Twitter and go look at my timeline and see what's going on. Teddy, the last time we talked, we were down in Costa Rica, and we were talking, we had the Johnny Manziel event. Sportsbook Review put on an incredible event down in Costa Rica, and we were talking about the start of the college football and the NFL season. How, like, when it gets to NCAA tournament, do you like betting on the NCAA tournament, or is it tougher because there's so much money rolling in that it's hard to get good lines compared to maybe earlier season college basketball games?
Well, to be honest, last weekend with the conference tournaments, that's for the pros. I mean, the pros love the
and that's just because there's not as much money there, and you're able to. Why do you like the conference?
There's so many really good games to bet. Number one, and number two, you have so many disinterested favorites. Look no further than, even 2 weekends ago, the Big Ten is your classic example of, there's Michigan knocking out, rolling through Michigan State, rolling through Purdue, and two teams that weren't necessarily as motivated as the Wolverines were to win that tournament. You can find those situations all the way through the conference tournaments, and there's so many more games that I personally love last weekend more than I do this weekend. That being said, this week is for you guys. This weekend is for the casual fan, for the casual bettor. And it's not like there's no money to be made. Everyone's going to be in action this weekend.
Yes.
You're going to be in action all weekend. But how many games are going to come down to one mixed free throw, one three-pointer at the buzzer, whether it's side, whether it's total? The lines are going to be really tight. And if you're going to win big this weekend, if you're going to go on a run and go, 8-0 like you did last year.
I was on a great run last year.
You've got to be on the right side of the lucky decisions. And there's going to be a ton of them because the lines are so tight. Whereas last weekend it wasn't this way.
Now, for a long time, there were lots of ideas that were out there that have panned out pretty well. And for instance, the 5 versus the 12, right? In the last 10 years, straight up, the 12s have won 19 games, and I believe the 5s have won 21. And so that has tended to be a really good bet. Do you follow the trends like that when it comes to year, or do you throw them out the window and look at them as if none of the history has ever happened?
I couldn't even tell you what any seed is. You know, I mean,
you don't even look at the seeds.
I know. I filled out a bracket, you know, but I didn't pay attention to what the numbers.
That's something that sophisticated gamblers do. They don't even look at the number beside the teams.
I could care less. You know, it makes no difference what the NCAA selection committee knows less about college basketball than anybody in Las Vegas. Than probably most of you out there who watch college basketball. If you watch college basketball, you know more about college basketball and where these teams actually should be seated than the committee of administrators and guys that don't actually watch games. So to worry about where they seated someone and make actual betting decisions about where they seated someone, they're clueless.
I mean, I'm going to get booed out behind us by the KU fans, but I said this the other day on Twitter.
Yes.
KU has no business being a 1 seed. If you look at someone most people in Vegas respect, Ken Pomeroy, if you look at his rankings, KU's ranked 9th.
Right.
That equates to a 3 seed. So we have these things where you have to consider, like Teddy said, as a professional, you got to kind of throw them out the window, but I will disagree. I do kind of look at the 6-11, 5-12, just because I love to bet the dogs, and I love to bet the dogs have a chance to win outright, and those 5 seeds have been absolute money.
So it's so funny you say that. I mean, to cut you off, but it's so funny you say that because the very first round of the tournament, I love chalk. I want the favorites because everybody out there, what's the dog this year? Oh, who's the exciting dog? And I find like a lot of times there were some big first rounds when it comes to favorites winning and covering because everybody's looking for the savvy underdog, and sometimes you find these boring old favorites and they come through.
Also, you were just talking about like you love the underdogs and everything else, and so you do look at the seed lines a little bit. Kansas in their bracket is actually definitely, if you look at the futures odds, behind Michigan State, and they're also behind Duke, and they've got Auburn in there. I think in that same bracket, that's the top 4. If you had to pick a team, you said you think Kansas is overrated. Kansas only get right now, I think, a 13.5-point favorite in their game against Penn, which is one of the lowest favorites that has ever existed for a 1 versus 16 matchup. You say you don't pay attention to 1 versus 16, but do you think a 1 will ever lose to a 16?
Ever?
Like in the next 10 years?
No.
I don't know.
If I had to give you an over-under on years, how many years would you take before a 16 will be to 1?
That's a good question. You know, about probably...
Because this is one of the lowest numbers we've ever seen for a 16 versus a 1.
19 and a half.
19 and a half would be your number. The next generation.
Yeah.
What about you if you were setting an over-under? By the way, congratulations. She's drinking. Well, hold on there.
I'm always drinking.
She's drinking, no, but people think that I'm a self-promoter. She's literally drinking in a Kelly in Vegas.
That's cool.
Koozie.
No, I again, everybody knows.
How much joy would you get by Kansas losing to Penn?
Way more joy than I would probably get ever in my life. Like
that's how much joy you would get. As a
I get
Kansas
a lot of
State
joy
fan.
from Coco in Vegas. You know, like when I come home at night.
Your dog.
Like,
Yes.
But other than that, man, I would go absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
We would be partying really hard.
So, and we're out, by the way, if that's somebody's phone ringing in the background. We're literally in my hotel room doing the show. And we appreciate all of you watching and hanging out. Sportsbook Review is off and running, I think, now, too, right? Zach, what's the address there people can watch and check out?
Sportsbookreview.com.
It's on the front page of sportsbookreview.com right now. And you guys should definitely be checking out sportsbookreview.com right now because we've got a $5,000 bracket challenge. Hundreds of you, I believe, have signed up for that, and I'd encourage you to keep doing it. All right. A lot of people want to make money here.
Okay.
I'll start with you.
Is that why we're here?
That's why we're here.
Okay.
We're here to make money. What is your favorite absolute bet? I'll tell you mine first. My blood bank guarantee, I put it up on Outkick earlier. I am sold on it. I think the over in Davidson and Kentucky. Right now, I believe it's 143, or at least it was earlier this afternoon. I think it's going to blast through it. I think Kentucky has gotten hot offensively. I think they're not necessarily going to play great defense against Davidson. The pace is going to be fast. Davidson puts up a lot of three-pointers. You know McKillop is a great coach. I think it's going to go to 155 or 160. I think it's going to go over with ease. You're laughing. Are people making fun of the blood bank guarantee? What are they saying?
They're making fun of a lot of things that I can't repeat on
Why?
camera.
About me drinking
Hold on.
heavily?
Is most of it directed at me?
Some of it's directed at everyone.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
I would just say, be careful how you hold the bottle. That's all.
Hashtag me too. Hashtag me too. I can't do anything right. No,
So that's my blood bank.
Okay, so
What do
I
you
brought
want the
my
most?
notes.
You brought all your
I brought
notes
all my
of all your
notes,
picks
'cause
that you've made.
I've got so
as
much
well as
stuff
your
going on.
gambling slips, which is pretty awesome in and of itself.
Well, because well, the Westgate made me pick every game on the board, so
Yes.
that was aggressive. Like, it took me quite a while. I mean, I was struggling hard to pick some favorites because, like Teddy said, there's a lot of big favorites. I took Virginia, I took Villanova, I took Duke.
I took the over there in the Davidson Kentucky game.
Well, they wouldn't let me take any
Do
totals.
you guys think that Kentucky should be nervous tomorrow?
Yes,
And
Yes.
you do.
absolutely.
You think so as well?
Nervous, sure.
Yeah.
It's a kind of game that you feel like Kentucky should at some point figure out a way to, survive in advance. But
Yes.
Davidson's really well coached. They're going to hit 3-pointers. And Kentucky is not a come-from-behind team. You know what their perimeter shooting's like. It's bad. It's been bad all year. It's their weakness.
They got hot a little bit in the SEC tournament.
Sure,
But Gabriel's probably not going to go 7 for 7 again for the rest of his life, right? So
They'll need some of that
Yeah, they'll
to survive.
I agree with Teddy. I think the other thing is that, as talking from professional perspective, you have to look at, as soon as that line came out, I said, oh my God, the book is begging for someone to bet the Kentucky Wildcats. Why? Because they have the namesake. But as we've seen this year, this is not the same Kentucky Wildcats we've seen in the past. But the casual bettor who maybe's watched 5 or 6 games this year comes to Las Vegas and they go, oh, I only have to lay 5 with Kentucky?
Right.
Done deal. No big deal. And that's what we've seen. I mean, people have absolutely unloaded on the Wildcats.
Which also brings
those
me in.
Wildcats.
Do you, Teddy, assess the success of coaches in the NCAA tournament? Because if
Yes.
you're a Kentucky fan, you would say John Calipari's never lost in the first round. Whereas we were talking about Kansas earlier, Bill Self has not exactly most years been clutch, right, in terms of his performance. How do you assess coaching, and do you assess coaching more when it comes to these short turnaround games? It's one thing when you have a week to prepare for an opponent, but I always think it's fascinating to look at who's really good with 48 hours to get ready on that quick turn, right?
Bingo, exactly. It matters more from the Thursday to Saturday and the Friday to Sunday games
Yes.
than it does when you have the full week. But you definitely see the coaches with the long-term positive track records. Bayline, Michigan, monster. I mean, in Big Ten tournaments and NCAA tournaments.
Yes.
As a real bet-on guy, Bruce Weber hasn't exactly done that.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I let
You're
Red
in.
Creighton
We're not
listen. And we don't know if Dean Wade's fully healthy. We don't know what's going on with Barry Brown. I mean, he probably just has a goose egg over his eye, but I haven't been able to get really great insight on Kansas State, and I haven't been sold on this Kansas State team. They have underachieved when they were supposed to overachieve, and then they've surprised in games like at Baylor, where they came in as an 8-point dog and came in and won the game. I mean, this is a team that I don't really trust. And then you have the Marcus Foster X factor. How mad is Marcus Foster at Bruce Weber? I don't know. I don't know Marcus. But if that kid goes off, Kansas State's in a world of hurt.
So we asked earlier, I'll come back around to it
Okay.
again. I said the game that I love the most. I also, by the way, really like Tennessee tomorrow, Wright State on the over. Tennessee's gotten
Tennessee
hot
tomorrow.
offensively. I think they're going to score some points. I can't remember exactly what that number is, but I think it's pretty low. Those are teams that I know pretty well. What about you?
So I have a long list of reasons why I'm betting Penn tomorrow, plus 14. Like you said, you're only
Not to
betting
mention that
13 and a half.
you just hate Kansas.
No. Actually, that's what I said right here. I understand this has never happened. No
Yes.
16 seed has ever been 1 seed. I also sound like a KU hater. But going back to what we actually just talked about, I think the big X factor in this game is Steve Donahue. A lot of people don't realize that this Penn team, sure, they won the Ivy League, which doesn't mean a lot to most people. But Steve Donahue is the same coach that took Cornell to the Sweet 16 in 2009. I think he is going to be the difference maker here. I think KU's already looking past, most of those 1 seeds are. They're looking past these smaller schools, and that is maybe why, we talked about, is there too many points? Are we going to see the public come in laying the big chalk on some of these games? Or are they going to go on the flip side and say, oh, yeah, sure, Iona getting 19.5 versus Duke. Sign me up.
What about you? What do you like the best?
The game I like the best, I'm going to talk about it in 1 second, but I want to go back to this coaching issue.
Yeah.
Very, very briefly. Because when I'm making a case on or against a team to bet on, a coach is only going to be one piece of the equation. I'm never making a bet, this guy's going to outcoach that guy.
Yeah.
Because what happens? Jay Wright's your classic example. Here's Villanova. Oh, Villanova sucks. They always go out early. And then the 1 year he's got the right team and he pushes the
And
right
everything
buttons.
goes perfect.
And they win a title and now they're a monster. So that wheel and dust. Think about Boeheim at Syracuse before he won his title. You're like, oh, Boeheim never wins a big game.
Then he got Carmelo
and then he had
everything.
Melo,
Yeah.
and so exactly, it's a whole different ballgame. So that can and will change over time. So when I'm talking about coaches, it's only going to be one piece of the puzzle as I'm trying to build a case to bet on or against a team. When you ask me what my probably my favorite bet is, I'm going to talk San Diego State.
Yeah.
The Aztecs.
What is it about San Diego State?
We have a bet on and a bet against. All
Yeah.
right. One of the things I really like to do in the very first game of the tournament is to bet against teams that went ball to the wall last weekend. And Houston went balls to the wall last weekend.
With the theory being that emotionally and also physically they're just drained.
They're gassed. And playing Thursday doesn't help them. You know, they're a team that could have used the extra days worth of rest.
Yes.
No question. So, and if you watch the second half of the conference championship game, both teams were gassed. I mean, really gassed. So, Houston's bet against for the first game. Here are the Aztecs, okay? Their season-long stats, mediocre at best. And all the numbers are based on season-long stats.
Right.
But when you look at what's happened, this is a very quiet, under the radar, a guy named Malik Pope, the senior leader for that team. He was suspended, an NCAA investigation. He was suspended in late February for one game. They thought he was going to be out long term. They're like, we don't know if he's going to come back. I thought the team was going to fall apart. Instead, he got reinstated. Since he got reinstated, they've been a mission team. Won every game straight up, won every game against the spread. The numbers are still being based on their season-long stats. You know, they were mediocre. Brian Dutcher, he can't coach yet. You know, he's Fisher.
Yes.
Now, if you look at them down the stretch, they're playing as well as anybody in basketball. They're not any mid-major.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to beat Houston.
I think that's a great point, because if you follow a team, you know that over the course of a season there's lots of ebbs and flows.
Sure.
And oftentimes power numbers are predicated on the entirety of a season as opposed to what happened in February or what happened in early March. And sometimes if you follow a team or if you're paying attention to it, you can get an advantage.
I mean, we can see that last year with South Carolina. They absolutely bombed in the SEC tournament last year and then just went on a monster run. And those are where the teams you got to catch. I mean, talking about these guys just before the show, and that you got to find the teams that are hot at the right time. And the question they ask me is, when is Providence done? And I'm like, I think Providence can beat North Carolina, but can they get past Texas A&M in order to do so? Like, I feel like certain teams play up to the level of competition, something else to consider. And like you said, you know, you have to find those teams that aren't gassed, that aren't like hit their peak at the wrong time.
When you think about playing betting, I like a lot of times to do over-unders. And for whatever reason, I tend to have better success on over-unders than I do on the regular numbers. What about you guys? Do you guys like to play over-unders in the NCAA tournament? Would you rather stick with a regular line? Do you play first halves? Like, is there a particular bet that you like more than any other NCAA tournament-wise?
Not necessarily, no. I mean, I'm not. When I'm going to try to break down a game,
Yeah.
I'm going to take a look at the number, take a look at what my ratings are, and all right, now, do I have any interest? If I'm interested, let's do some more work. Is there?
How often does it happen where you have a number and you see that number and it's totally different than the number that comes out?
Rarely.
And when you see that
I mean,
happen,
totally by like 3 or 4
yeah, like what's the
points.
biggest difference you can remember? What you expected? I mean, did you like when something like that happens? Do you feel like you just won the lottery? What do you? I mean, go back and look and see whether your number's wrong. Like, what happens for a professional gambler when you have a number you expect to see and it's wildly divergent? A lot of people would say that's a huge market opportunity, but on some level you have to question your own numbers, right?
Well, you do two things first. First is you bet it.
Yeah.
And then you research it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you trust your initial number.
And then if you don't like it, you're going to get off it.
Yeah.
You know, but the very first
Do
thing
you remember a
when you see
story like
number-
that where you had a number and you were like, oh my God, I can't believe they're this far off?
It's not a college basketball story. It's a preseason NFL story.
Yeah,
but it's
that's an amazing story, yes.
It's a classic story.
Okay.
All right. Here's
Preseason NFL football.
Preseason NFL
How many
football.
years ago?
Now, this is the game that taught me to trust my numbers.
Yes.
Okay. Steve Spurrier's first year with the Redskins. That's
Yes.
how long ago it was.
Oh,
All right?
wow.
It's
Yeah.
a while ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
2002 or something.
Yeah. He's playing Mariucci, 49ers.
Yes.
In the preseason opener in Tokyo.
I vaguely remember that happening. Yes.
The quotes from Spurrier. We want to win every game.
Yes.
I'm reading the quotes. You know, the quotes from Mariucci. You know, we're going to go hang out in Tokyo.
Yeah.
You know, San Fran had no interest in that game. Washington had every interest in that game. I'm reading the quote. The number comes out, and it's San Fran -3. And I made the number Washington -7.
Wow.
Wow.
You know,
10-point swing.
And that doesn't happen.
Yes.
You know, that doesn't happen. So I bet it.
Yeah.
And I researched it, and I bet it again.
Yes.
And I was scared to really load up on it. Like, it's a preseason. No. You know, I would, at the time, I was still getting my feet down, learning my way. From that moment, when the final score was 38-7, Washington, it was over in the first quarter.
Yeah.
And from that time on, trust your numbers.
Yes.
Believe in yourself.
Have you seen the numbers get more efficient since, like, in the last 15 years? Has the gambling public gotten smarter? Has it gotten harder to find those numbers like that?
Yes and no.
How would you just break it down?
Because it's really is a complicated algorithm and a complicated metric to talk
Yes.
about because the market does ebb and flow.
Yeah.
And we've seen the market shift so dramatically over the course of the last 10 years towards the advanced metric numbers that if you compare betting now to 10 years ago or 15 years ago, it's a completely different animal. And it took me a little while. I went through a really rough run when I was trying to adjust to that. But what I do now that I didn't do 10 years, all I'm trying to do is find advanced metric numbers, find stats that lie.
Yeah.
Where's the stats line? San Diego State, what we just talked about, is a class example. Here are these season-long stats. They're flat out lying.
Yes.
And you can make money with teams like that, whether on the good side or on the bad side.
Kelly, when you look at these numbers, like one of our buddies is Todd Furman, and Todd is so like analytical about it that he a lot of times won't watch the game that he bets on.
Or he just is like this all the time, like in his own little
Yes,
Todd
like
bubble.
he is. So people who don't know Todd Furman, he's a friend of ours, but I mean he is a quintessential data guy, right?
Right.
Like, I mean and so a lot of times, like when I watch games with him, he will bet it, and then he's like, I don't even like to watch the game because there's so much variety that might happen during the games. Do you enjoy watching games that you have a lot of money on, or did you prefer sometimes not watching them?
I think that's probably what's going to cause me to have a heart attack one day. So I've always been a sports fan. I grew up playing sports. I grew up loving sports.
Yes.
So yes, if I've got a dime on a game, 2 dimes on a game, I'm sitting in front of my TV and my dog's looking at me like, why do you keep yelling?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Or I'm, like I can't even watch a game in a sports book anymore. The last time I had the Dolphins a couple of years ago getting like 7 at home versus the Patriots, and Patriots fans in front of me, and I was like, you guys are going to lose today. I got Dolphins plus 7 and the money line. He's like, and next middle of third quarter, he's like screaming at me. I'm like, should I go?
Yeah.
But the flip side of that is the opposite when, the Patriots would blow out the Dolphins in there and like furious because the entire sports book is cheering. I'm like, this is not even fun for me. But I do watch the games. I just have my own sports book at home now. I have my little 3 TVs. I got my laptop set up, and I'm pretty happy because I am a sports fan and I do enjoy it. And you have to take the good with the bad. And yeah, you're gonna have missed free throws, and yeah, you're gonna have missed field goals. I mean, on Christmas 2 years ago, 3 days after Christmas, I'm in Arizona visiting some family, and I'm sitting at the pool because it's like 80 degrees.
Yeah.
So we're at the pool, and I'm watching Western Michigan, Wisconsin on my phone, and my partner in the Golden Nugget contest texts me. He goes, we have a 7.5 in the contest. I go, no, we don't. We have an 8. And he goes, no, we don't. He sent me a screenshot. We had a 7.5. I had an 8.5 ticket in my hand, and I'm like, okay, it's fine. Touchdown.
Right.
All right, game's gonna land right. We're gonna land on 7. We got a 7.5. The world is great. Kid misses a PAT. My cell phone goes flying. My niece is like, what's wrong? I'm like, nobody talk to me, and everybody's like, what's wrong?
You can curse. You don't have to.
Oh, I didn't know. I was allowed to.
Yeah.
Well, good. Then I was saying way more. No, I literally was like, what the fuck? And my cell phone's at the bottom of the swimming pool.
You threw your cell phone in the swimming pool.
Yeah, I was fucking pissed.
Was it?
Like, I was just like, I
was that
lost
free
my-
waterproof iPhones?
I mean, I do not have a life-proof case, so no, I just was that pissed, and I was like, you're kidding me. And I'm like, I just lost $15,000
Yeah.
on a missed PAT. But I guess having watched how it went down gave me at least a little more solace than like not watching it like does that make sense? Like,
yeah, no.
I feel like I need to watch it live so I know who to hate for like the next 6 years.
I was on the field.
You cost me $15,000 in the Golden Nugget.
I was on the field for Alabama, Georgia at the end of the game, right?
Yeah.
And I had the under, and I had Georgia plus 6. And Georgia choked it away, right?
Yeah.
But Alabama had, you guys might remember, whatever that distance was, a chip shot field goal to win by 3, right?
Yeah.
And I think the final would have been 23-20. The under would have hit, and Alabama would have, Georgia would have still covered. Everything would have been great. The guy like shanks it so badly, and everybody's reacting, and I sank to my knees because that cost me $20,000. Like if he had made that fucking field goal.
And see, I was in Legacy Stadium downstairs going absolutely bananas while everybody was losing their minds around me because
Herman knew how much money I had on it, and he immediately, like, my phone buzzes, and he's like, tough one. Because we were going to overtime, and I was hoping it could still end up. But that's the toughest with the most money that I've had on a game, where you're like totally in the right spot, and then you just get screwed by a low probability of it.
But that's the thing about watching it, though. Is like I feel like I'd much rather at least see it go down and know how I lost my money than just be like, oh, check the score later, like, oh, okay, I lost.
Oh, Kelly, you've been out in Vegas for a while. A lot of people who are watching us now or will listen to this or watch us on sportsbookreview.com and also watching, obviously, on Outkick would like to come out to Vegas for the NCAA tournament at some point. If they do get to come out, what would you tell them to do? Would you tell them to go to multiple sports
Don't
books?
text me 2 days before you get here and wonder why I can't get you into a party.
Yeah.
My phone has been blowing up for days. Like,
Your friends come out,
understand how much money you have and how much you're willing to pay for a table, but it doesn't matter. You're too late. You have to give.
You have to plan stuff. But what would you tell them to go? Would you tell them to bounce around the different sports books?
So there's some really great sportsbook in town. The Wynn just redid their whole sportsbook, absolutely gorgeous. The Westgate sportsbook's absolutely gorgeous. Cosmo is a super fun place for younger people to go hang out. I really enjoy it there. I guess it just kind of depends what you're looking for. You could go to Mandalay and they have this giant, huge sports book, or you could go to like one of the smaller ones and go sit in William Hill and do whatever you want to do. I guess it just kind of depends on what you're looking for. But a lot of these bigger casinos, like Westgate, will have an entire theater devoted, and you've got 5 or 6 different screens to be able to watch all the games, and that's what I prefer. It's fun to take your friends because it's just something new, especially being from Kansas. Like a lot of people are like, wow, this is awesome, you know what I mean? Oh wait, Kelly gets all the free beer she can drink, so you know this waitress keep dropping off buckets.
By the way, we're going to be at the Mirage on Friday, 4 o'clock. The Sportsbook Review putting on a great event. Go check out their website, but we'll be there at 4 o'clock at the Mirage. If you're happening, maybe you're coming in later this week, maybe you're watching this and wondering what's going on. The other thing that I wanted to hit you with, for people who may not have been out before, I think a lot of people show up thinking they can get their bets in and they don't need to plan for it. Because you will see a huge line. Make the bet the night before. Like, you can give good advice on this too.
Well, yeah, you're saying what sportsbook to watch it at.
Yeah.
Watch it sportsbook you can get a seat.
Yes.
You know, because I mean, you can buy tickets to a party and you want to watch for free. You better be there early.
Yeah.
You know, because the casinos are now.
And the lines. I mean, I think a lot of people don't understand. If you haven't been here before, you show up maybe 30 minutes before the game. There's a sometimes 30-minute line.
Oh,
to
yeah.
get your bets
It's
in.
still you
At
don't
least.
have to. Here's your phone. Use your
Well,
phone.
now
Yes.
it's now coming a day early. That's what actually I told Jason.
Yeah.
I go when we go after this. We'll go downstairs. We'll go to the Venetian Sportsbook. Cantor's got a new sign-up thing deal.
Yeah.
Go sign up. Put $1,000 in your account, and
Yes.
you don't have to stand in
And
line.
you can bet on your device.
Before you go home, go cash out your money, or you lost all your money, whichever, you know, and you're good to go. And at least you're not wasting your time. Like today, I went to the Superbook. The line was like 200 people deep, and I ran up and I pulled the "Hey Jay Cornegay card, can I please not have to wait in this line? I have somewhere to be."
Yes.
You know what I mean? I look like a complete asshole in front of everybody, but I just got to sneak in and sign up.
And by the way, the other thing you can do is price for the market, because there are different prices depending on where you go, and Sportsbook Review does a great job of letting you know where you should go.
Well, that's the advantage. You can look online, all right, and
Yeah.
see a half a dozen different books. And if you have the apps on your phone, all right, let's open up my William Hill app. Okay,
Yes.
let's open up my MGM Mirage app. Okay, let's
Absolutely.
open up my CG.
And by the way, that
Until you get banned from those places.
That's
Teddy
gonna,
told me I wasn't famous until I got banned from them. I'm like, cool, I got banned from William Hill. Now
as
I'm
you
good.
should be. Yes.
What about futures tickets?
Responsible.
What about futures tickets in terms of betting on teams to win regions, in terms of betting on teams to win the overall title? Do you like them, or would you rather, if you really like a team, just play them on the money line every game if you think they're really going to get on a hot streak?
Yes, thank you. That's
Something
the
that a lot
advice
of people
we're
don't
looking
do.
for.
Yes.
If you want to take the lazy way, bet whoever on the future. Easy. You know, you just make your bet and that's done. If you want to do it the way that savvy players get involved, you bet them on the money line the one game, on the money line the next game, and you will get a far greater, regardless of what team it is, regardless if we're talking favorites or dogs. If you bet it, roll it over, you will make a larger return on your investment, and you have the option of not rolling it all over and taking
Yes.
some out. You know.
By the way, Matt Liner just texted me that he expected me to have a nicer hotel room, so fuck you, Matt Liner. We didn't all win Heisman trophies at USC.
Do you get paid for that? I think you do, don't you?
What's that?
You get paid for Heisman trophies at USC.
Oh, you get paid for everything.
Matt
at
Liner
USC, right?
will always be one of my favorite